Ready for your moment on the big screen, huh? Oh, hello, Rubby Cat. Hello, everybody. Scratching some cat butt here. Welcome to Houston with a Problem. What we've got... Oh, shh. Is it going? But it's going. Okay. All right. I think the internet's being weird. Sorry. It was not popping up on my screen. I was scared that I accidentally started a new video and not the one that I had scheduled, like I did last week. And just... Anyway, welcome to Houston with a Problem. I didn't come too much in the way of headlines today to be inspired, so I'd have a title for today's show. Yeah, AMC continue to get hammered. They're down 85-ish% since August 11th. Every price right now for AMC is below that what shorts have shorted to. Like, shorts are winning at the moment. There's not a price right now that they cannot buy AMC for where it will hurt them. Especially since Adam Aaron's going to dilute, and that will counteract any forced buying that they may incur. At current levels, AMC needs to sell about 530 million shares in order to pay off their debt. And Adam Aaron's going to sell about 25 million, which will clear $250 million of debt out of the 5.4 billion they need to get rid of in order to like be profitable. So I don't know where it's going to go from there, but they really screwed the pooch on that one, I think. And they had a rabid fan base. And a lot of that fan base is like, you know what, dude, you guys screwed up, and they're out. There's still a bunch of people who are doubling down. I'm not. But Adam Aaron really squandered an opportunity. Absolutely just squandered. Had he sold to the public at the market, I think people would have bought. And the share price would have been for a long time. And he could have sold a lot to the public, and they would have gobbled it up because they're rabid. But he really just screwed up. And I don't know how they're going to raise enough capital to pay off the debt that he wants to pay off. Because $200 million out of 5.4-ish billion is not going to cut it. Granted, like, they could sell, let's say they sell 300 million shares. Right? And you get the float back to basically where it was before the reverse split. You pay off $3 billion in debt. You're left with $2.5 billion debt, which matches, the couple $1 billion you have cash on hand. And maybe that eliminates enough interest payments that you can be profitable again. Right? But he has no plan to sell 300 million shares. So I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know. It seems like a lot of screw-ups all along the way there. Other news. Niger might be going to war with everybody. If you guys have looked into that too much, there's a coup in Niger, in Africa. Overthrew the president. The military is now in charge. And the military is telling various diplomats, you got 40 hours to leave the country. The French ambassador and the American ambassador both told to leave by the military. And the American ambassador is like, you don't have that authority because you're not actually the president. And that's kind of pissing off Niger. But the Niger military works closely with Wagner, the Russian mercenaries, and ECOWAS, which is the sort of like the neighboring West African nations, are talking about going in and just getting rid of the military junta that's there, which could spark a war, which may drag the U.S. in there, since the U.S. has like 6,000 soldiers in country who were training the military in Niger how to get rid of like what's the name of the Al Qaeda? The other group, Kitty Cat. Your little fat butt is not telling me what I need to know. The bad Islamists who are trying to, take over stuff in the desert. Anyway, we might get dragged into something in Niger. The U.S. has been trying to be as like offhands as possible, And, you know, there's military coup, like, well, it looks like a coup, but no, it might actually be a coup. We're trying to be as diplomatic as possible, but it might not last, since the West African nations may just go, you know what, we're moving in there. We're going to send in 100,000 troops, and we're going to restore the presidency in Niger. What's happening? Monkey Butt and I got a lot of walking in this weekend. We walked like 30 miles. Ate a lot of burgers. So Monkey did manage to spill a milkshake all over me, and I had like sticky fingers for hours in Seattle until I could find a water fountain I could wash my hands off in. Which, you know, America's inability to fix our homeless problem really results in the lack of public restrooms, because public restrooms get used to house homeless people and get disgusting. Therefore, we don't put them anywhere, so that other people can't use a public restroom because they don't exist, and you're stuck with sticky fingers for hours in a major city. Yeah, you're a real dick for doing it. I had milkshake in my hand. Monkey ran for a squirrel, and I didn't really squeeze the milkshake, and then fired milkshake all over myself. You owe me $2, because at least half that milkshake disappeared. I want you to know that, Monkey. It's on your account. Anywho, bam. Okay, turn that off. It was not distracted by animals that time. It's off. Okay. Well, let's just go to the chat. What we got? Yogi, GNS, Rockets. They did their dividend, right? So they should be ready to go. Latinum, you figure out dark energy, can you figure out where the center of the universe is? Cannot. Well, sort of can. Can, but cannot. Everywhere is the center of the universe. I know it sucks to listen to, but if we all were packed into a singularity, right? That means we all were part of that singularity. And we all went boom. The problem is that we now, everywhere we look, we are looking at the center of the universe, or at least something that was part of the center of the universe. And because everything is expanding away from everything else, we cannot tell where we are expanding from. And because everything fades away into the fuzz that is the Big Bang / redshifts out of any visible light spectrum, we cannot tell from whence we came. We know it all is expanding, but we don't know where it's expanding from. The example would be like, imagine you have a muffin that rises, correct? And you have raisins or chocolate chips or something in that muffin. And when that muffin starts rising, every raisin or chocolate chip inside that muffin looks at every other raisin and chocolate chip and sees that they're expanding away from them. All right, so then they might be like, well, maybe I'm the center of the universe since everything's expanding away from me. Only an outside observer will be able to tell where that muffin was expanding from. Inside that muffin, you can't tell. So just everyone assumes that they're center of the universe. And we all know that the Fremont neighborhood in Seattle has officially declared themselves the center of the universe, so you can't really argue with that. They've got a giant Lenin statue, so, you know, there you go. And a troll. A Lenin statue and a troll, and you really can't beat those two things. Chris Lick. Hi, Houston. Hi, Chris Lick. First name, last name, Houston. Do you think there may be subliminal antenna humans have to may relate to things like coincidence, deja vu, karma, etc.? There are weird patterns for sure. My friend's pizza restaurant, I fill in that. Weird things happen. Like, a puttanesca is not a very popular pizza. And it's no cheese. It's kind of spicy, and it's got a bunch of anchovies on it. Select few people like anchovies. They may not mind the taste, but just they look like little wads of snot. And people smell really fishy, and people just don't want it. So each shift, you sell a whole bunch of cheese pizzas, a whole bunch of like pizzas that have sausage. You know, your capricciosa. It's like your supreme pizza, and one or two puttanescas. Then there are days where no one wants the cheese pizza. You might sell 1 or 2 of them an entire shift, but for some reason you sold 50 puttanescas, and you don't know why. And the next day it goes back to 50 cheese pizzas and 1 or 2 puttanescas. I don't know what vibes go through the air where all the people who are either A, puttanesca lovers go, I must go down and get puttanesca now, and they all just converge and order a bunch of puttanescas, or people that normally wouldn't order puttanesca all of a sudden like, I must order this fish. I need fish. It's a very strange thing. I remember working in a restaurant where, you have section tables. You'd maybe do 10 turns throughout a shift. I don't know how many turns it might be. And this one table, the people who sat in those 2 chairs, that one table, ordered the exact same thing as everyone else who sat in those 2 chairs. Like, every single person who sat in the chair on the left got clam chowder the entire day. Every single person who sat in the chair on the right got like a crab and artichoke melt the entire day. 10 people, weird odds that would happen. I don't know what type of like aura. Like they don't know what they want. They sit down and all of a sudden like, I need a clam chowder. It's very strange the things people will go through like that. But yeah, there may be some sort of hive mind action that we don't really understand that happens every once in a while. Just the vibe happens and everyone's just chilling with that vibe. Deja vu. I've experienced deja vu where you see something, experience something like, wait, I've totally experienced this before, but I can't necessarily place where it is. It just seems really, really, really familiar. I don't know if I had a dream, if maybe I had experienced something very similar before and just can't recall where it's from. Karma, on the other hand, sometimes karma can just be directly related. Like someone's just such a monumental asshole that they'll burn every bridge and then their life will suck. So that one's not too hard to figure out oftentimes. But yeah, there are some weird vibes out there, and just kind of, I was psychosomatic. I don't know what. I can't explain it. I don't think you can either. I don't think any of us can explain it right now. But birds and fish and bugs do it, so why can't humans? And herds are really good at it too. Jason Blackwell, hey Stu, why does Athens fear the sunrise? Because dawn is tough on Greece. God damn it. Chris Lick, what do you think if retail bought AMC's bonds and sold it back to AMC for pennies? I think that'd be a terrible investment advice. I mean, it's going to cost the same amount of money either way. Like you buy buy $5 billion in bonds, or you buy $5 billion in stock. Same price, right? So they might as well just sell us $5 billion in shares, pay off their bonds, and then we have ownership of the company. Whereas if we buy a whole bunch of bonds, sell them for pennies, then it's guaranteed loss, I think. Yeah. I mean, if AMC starts defaulting on their bonds, they'll get real cheap. But then again, their stock price will also collapse to nothingness if that's the case. I don't know. They're in a real rock and a hard place because they fucked around for 2 years when they should have been just leveraging the insanity that is a fervent investor base, and they really, 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 really squandered it. Talk about dropping the ball. GME did it exactly right. They took this fervent base. They quickly used share offerings to pay off all their debt and be debt free. And their stock price has been pretty darn strong that entire time. So my thumb's doing that thing again I was doing last week. Very annoying. Quit. It's called trigger thumb or something. I don't know. It's clicking. I don't like it. And AMC, the flavor was soured because they had the convertible bonds that triggered when the price hit was like $13. So Silvergate got like 300 million shares, and the float got incredibly diluted. And then when given the opportunity to sell more shares, Adam Aron chose to sell directly to Mudrick and not to the public. And Don't do that. Don't sell private equity ever. Ever. Let them find their own shares in the market. Don't seek them out and be like, hey, private equity, would you like to screw with us? And the private equity goes, yeah, I do. I really want to screw with you. Sell to your fans. Sell to your investors. Don't ever sell to private equity if you don't have to. And he did not have to, and he went and did it. He did it again with Ape, right? Ape comes out at $10 a share. You could have sold 200 million of those suckers at $10 a share, and a whole bunch of apes would have bought it, and you'd have made $2 billion. But instead, you wait 3 months right before T90, and you sell 200 million shares at 66 cents to a short hedge fund, who then immediately puts all those shares up for lending, right? So I don't know what's going through the dude's head, but why? If you're going to sell the shares anyway, sell them right away. If you're not going to wait for that T90. So I don't know. He's squandered the potential to raise billions and billions and billions of dollars from buy and hold people. Instead, he makes a few $100 million from like, I will lend out and or sell everything immediately people. It's Liddy. Hi, Brother Houston. Why do Howleys wear shoes in their house? Because I think they come from cold climates where you just wear your shoes everywhere. I don't know. My family doesn't wear the shoes in the house. But I know families who do. I don't know. You don't do it in Hawaii, that's for sure. Someone sees you wear shoes in the house in Hawaii, they're like, you don't do it in Japan. Like, it's a major faux pas to do so in Japan. But, I don't know. Maybe everyone has maids who can clean up after everyone else. I don't. I have to clean up after everyone, and I don't like it. Yeah. You and your cat friends are completely disgusting right now. You guys are just tearing everything apart. I want you to know that. Clean up after you constantly. All right. First name, last name, Houston. Are there any photos of Saturn's rings showing the actual debris pieces? Yes. At least of the shepherd moons. Let's see if we can get some here. Okay. Let's Chrome. Come on, Chrome. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. So we can see individual stuff. We don't have the best cameras they've got because it takes years and years and years and years and years to send one of these probes out there. So, we don't have the highest of clarity on these things, but we can see some. See if we can get ones of shepherd moons here. Here we go. Here's individual little scrubby pieces, tiny little bits of moon bits in there. Shepherd moon, shepherd moon, shepherd moon. Here's a shepherd moon. There's a shepherd moon in there. As basically as the little asteroids go by, they have gravitational effect on the rings, and they kind of keep them in place. So they're called shepherd moons. Here's some grainy ones of material. I would love to have like a really high-powered camera to make it out there. It's, I don't know, a 10-year trip to get to Saturn at this point. So, when we last had cameras go through there, they were digital cameras made in the early 2000s. Weren't that great. Now we have incredible camera technology that I think if we were to send something now, we could get just phenomenal photos of the rings if we wanted to. But I don't know of any plans to send stuff out. A lot of the things you'll see are just artist renderings of what it would look like, and not the actual, like these are artist renderings. These aren't, I think this is artist rendering anyway. Yeah, that's definitely an artist rendering. That's not an actual picture. So don't trust it. Don't trust it. Alexander K. Houston, can you go over the math as to why you think no lab stock will go in the thousands? I can do that again. Everyone loves it when I whip out the calculator. Okay, so turn off Chrome. Calculator's up. All right. So right now, there's 87 million shares. Let's say they dilute some more this winter because they do have to raise more capital to pay their way through getting their FDA approval. Let's say they get to 100 million shares, right? 100 million shares, nice standard round number, easy to do math with. Okay, the price right now, under $1. It's like 77 cents or something. 70 cents. It's a screaming deal. Now, they get the approval from the FDA for an FDA-approved device for a non-invasive glucose monitor. Suddenly, in the United States alone, they've got 30 million customers. Because anyone with health insurance and diabetes is going to want to A, stop pricking their fingers, or B, stop wearing an invasive device that's like bolted into their body with a tube that goes into their bloodstream to measure, and they got to change batteries and do crap like that. Make your life easy. You just take a little sucker and goes, whoa, and just tells you automatically by beaming into your body little radio waves and let you know how much your blood glucose levels are. Now, you have a market instantly of 30 million people who all want your device. And your insurance companies will pay for it. Because if you can get up-to-date, constant readings of people's bodies, you will save on paying out insulin, on paying out hospital visits for things like circulation problems and diabetic comas and all sorts of other health problems that can come from it. So you got 30 million people who all have their insurance pay $99 a month for their devices. So 30 million times $99 a month. That's $2.9 billion a month for 12 months a year. Bam, that's $35 billion a year. This is the subscription fee for your devices. Each one gets built. Let's say it costs you $100 to build each one, because you're building tens of millions of them. You're going to get the cost down really small. So you spend $100 per device. You're selling them for $199 plus a $99 a month subscription fee. So tack on another several billion on top of that for profit from selling the devices. Then you got devices that can get lost, smashed, whatever. People are going to have to buy them again. You'll have some that have issues and aren't reading correctly, and you'll have to have a customer service network to handle that, whatever. But let's just say that the subscription fee more than covers what the cost of replacement would be, what the cost of the warranties would be, of servicing that you're making like $35 billion a year in profit, right? We can look at the market cap of a $35 billion company. Market cap of $35 billion company. Okay, where's that list of companies ranked by market cap? Here we go. Is that the one? The one that was market cap by revenue of. Here we go. Does this have the market cap, revenue, price? You don't tell me market cap though. No. Was that one site we found a couple weeks ago when we were doing companies that are like $5 billion revenue? And I can't. Yeah, maybe. Oh, revenue. That's what I want. That's what I just was. That didn't help. That's not helping me at all. But let's figure it out. We'll go from here, and we'll go to companies that are around 35 billion in revenue. Right? Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. This is I'm gonna have to get to no. Close. Go away. Okay, 80 billion, 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 54. Okay, might be the next one here. Get down to... There's 36 billion. Let's go just for a nice round 35 billion. Okay, here we go. We got GlaxoSmithKline. There's something they do glucose monitors. So GlaxoSmithKline, $35 billion in revenue. How much is their market cap? Well, let's look up GlaxoSmithKline. GlaxoSmithKline market cap, 71 billion. So they have 71 billion market cap. Cool. Another company that would be around there. Starbucks at 35 billion on the dot. So Starbucks market cap. $111 billion. So let's just say, split the difference. Around $100 billion is what their market cap is. Well, if you have 100 million shares and you're worth $100 billion, that's $1,000 a share. Right? $100 billion market cap. Divide that by 100 million shares. And you're at a market cap of around $1,000 a share. Now, a company that gets that big will likely be doing share splits and things like that. So your one share might end up being 15, 20, 30 shares before long. So each individual share might be, $50 to a couple $100, not $1,000 a share. But the equivalent value of one share today, if they get approval from the FDA, which would lead to a huge subscription service for their glucose monitors, then yeah, each one of those shares split a bunch of times, so on, would be about $1,000 or more a share. That's not unreasonable. That's why I think they are a hell of an investment. And if they get FDA approval, they're in the testing phase now. I don't know when FDA will approve it, how long it takes, but that's, I figure 70 cents a share for a company that will be the first to market with a non-invasive glucose monitor with a whole bunch of fat Americans who have type 2 diabetes is a great investment. It'd be like investing in the cure for baldness or something. It's good money to go after. Okay. First name, last name, Houston. Would it be possible for a nuclear bomb to ignite the space, gas clouds, nebulas, etc.? Probably not. You might get a little bit of burning in there, but not particularly heavily oxygen-rich environment. So you're not going to get too much like combustion happening. And like when those clouds get compressed and start doing fusion explosions themselves, that's different. But there's, they're not super thick. Like, the air that we breathe is probably trillions upon trillions upon trillions of molecules per cubic centimeter, right? The gas clouds in space are like 40,000 molecules per cubic centimeter. That's about as perfect as a vacuum as we can make in our labs here. So they're not actually that thick in gases. So no, I don't think a nuclear bomb would really have a good chance of igniting space clouds, space dust. Derek Kohorst, what's special about July 16th, 2013? What happened in July 2013, Kat? That's when I was doing my Kickstarter. My Kickstarter was basically fully funded by about then. That was kind of special. July 16th, 2013. You may make me look it up here. July 16th, 2013. What happened? July. Let's see here. 27 children are killed and 25 are hospitalized after eating lunch contaminated with insecticide in India. 84th All-Star Game at Citi Field, New York. A famous Canadian painter dies. Brandi, Indian historian, dies. Torbjorn Falkanger, Norwegian ski jumper, took the Olympic oath in 1952, dies at 85. Robin Thicke was number 1 with Blurred Lines. That doesn't sound like much happening. July 16th, 2013. Nothing interesting coming up at all. Someone named Theo Horan had their birthday. I don't know, man. You got me. Historical events. 6 mediators were killed by pro-government militias in Homs in Syria. Okay. Unions in Greece called for a general strike against austerity measures. All right. McDonald's announced that it would open its first Vietnam location in Ho Chi Minh City. British Columbia coroner said actor Corey Monteith died from heroin overdose. A missile found aboard the North Korean bulk carrier Chongchon-gang. Panamanian authorities seized it. Ship was on its way from Cuba when the captain attempted suicide. Okay. Got more? Oh, Will Ferrell's born on that day. But, yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. I know it's come up here. So, I don't know what's special about it. Andrew Stewart, Houston. What are some of the big differences between 2008 and this upcoming recession? What different outcomes do you think we'll see this time around? Well, one big difference is that I think this downturn is going to be led by commercial real estate and not residential. Residential will pick up, especially with Airbnbers who are doing a lot of spec buying, and that will come. But I think these REITs, these real estate investment trusts, they're in for a doozy, and because so many regional banks lend to commercial real estate interest, they're going to be on the shit end of that stick. So I think that's going to be what leads first, and then we'll start to see Airbnbs as they slow down and these spec buyers lose these homes, that they're going to get a flood of homes on the market from these guys. First, we're seeing the price of rentals come down. So rentals are coming down because these Airbnbs are going from short-term rentals to long-term rentals. But as they start to flood the market with these long-term rentals, the rental prices are going to get below what they owe in mortgage. So all of a sudden, all these Airbnbers are going to be underwater on their homes. They're going to owe more each month than they get out of the long-term rental. Plus, they're going to have to do upkeep and maintenance and all that stuff. So either we're going to have a bunch of slumlords who are just going to ignore all that stuff, or they're going to start to get foreclosed on as they drain their savings. And then those homes are going to enter the market, whether they're sold as short sales by the seller or they're foreclosed on and sold by the bank. Now, you have a collection of a whole bunch of homes being forced to be sold at whatever price during a time when no one can afford to buy because interest rates are too high. That's a recipe for seeing a quick downward trend in home buying. And then the investor groups who would normally pick up the slack don't have the cash on hand because their current real estate investments, especially in commercial real estate, aren't worth anything. So you got banks collapsing, therefore they can't give out loans if they wanted to. You have people who can't get loans because, well, they can't afford them. And people who won't get loans because why get a loan at 7.5% when you're used to getting loans at 3 or 4%, right? 1995, you bought a house. The average house price in America was $130,000. The average wage was a little bit under $30,000, and your mortgage was like $750 at 7 point whatever percent back then, 95. Now that was about 30% of your income. 2019, average wage is $56,000. Interest rates 4%, and the average home is like $260,000. Your percentage of your income for your home is way down. It's like 20-something percent, right? 4 years later, 2023, average home price is $440,000. It's almost doubled since 2019. The average wage is exactly the same at $56,000, and your interest rate is at 7.5%. So now your mortgage is $2,200, $2,300 in the United States, which is now 49% of your income. So, how do you rectify that? How do you make sure that humans can keep being housed if inflation has caused home prices to go nuts, combined with terrible interest rates and no rise in income? It's a recipe for disaster in the end. So what's different about this, though, is it isn't going to be the mortgage-backed securities that blow this up. It's going to be the REITs refusing to pay their bonds for these commercial properties they own. The banks not wanting them and trying to do whatever they can to refinance or extend the length of the bonds or whatever. And ultimately, a whole bunch of commercial real estate is going to end up on the market that no one wants to sell, but they have to. And the price of commercial real estate is going to plummet, which is going to cause the value of all these REITs and these bonds to plummet, which is going to cause everything to depress. And, let's say you're a home buyer. You have $1 million budget to buy a home, right? You can buy a nice house in Palo Alto or suburb of Los Angeles or something for $1 million, or 100,000, 200,000 square foot office building comes up for the same price, and you go, what if I were to buy an office building and convert the top floor into a penthouse, and I can have myself an office building for when things come up? Like, we're going to start to see really, really creative purchases out of this stuff. There's a lot of fortunes to be made by folks that when they do have cash on hand, they go, wait a minute, I was going to buy this other thing, but now I can buy like 10 almost of the things I want, and I can do something cool with that. So I think you'll see a lot of that with the folks that have cash on hand doing things. One of the biggest jerks in my community, this guy Jim Olson, he's a complete racist dickwad. But he was really smart in how he made his fortune. He was like a part-time reservist captain for the Coast Guard or something. And he, in the south end of Bainbridge, here, I'll show you pictures. Come on, give me that Google Earth, baby. Boop. And we're leaving that. We're going here. Okay, we're gonna leave Bombay Beach. We're heading north. Gotta go north, baby. Whoop, too far north. Okay, just right north. All right, so Bainbridge Island. If you look down here on the south end of the island, you can see that there's a whole bunch of homes and stuff that have been built here. 30 years ago, there was nothing. So Fort Ward was a military base that closed in the 1950s or 60s, and they sold off all the land on the south end of the island. This is swamp here. It's like really swampy, lots of marshes. The land doesn't perk, so you can't have septic. So people bought these properties at auction for pennies, and then they discovered that they couldn't build a home there because they couldn't put a septic tank, and they sort of abandoned their properties. And Jim Olson came in and he bought up all those properties for pennies. He bought up hundreds of acres all through here for pennies on the dollar, collected it all, and then he lobbied the government to build, where's the sewage plant? Sewage plant is right in here somewhere. It's right along here is the sewage plant. There it is. There's a sewage plant. He convinced the local authorities to build a sewage treatment plant, which all of a sudden, all these properties could be hooked up to sewer. And that caused this land, let's say he paid $500 an acre for this land. All of a sudden, that land went from $500 an acre to $200,000 an acre instantaneously because you could build on it. So developers came in and they paid him a fucking fortune for all this land through here. And he made so much money that he kept running for office on really, really, really racist platforms. He never won. But all these homes got built. We're talking tens of millions of dollars funneled to this dude, all because he picked up this land for cheap at auction that was unbuildable, convinced the county to build a sewage treatment plant, and all of a sudden the land became buildable and he made a fortune. So there's going to be folks like that who pick up weird pieces of property they're able to redevelop or sit on for a while until things start to pick up again, and they're going to make a fortune. Yeah, Jim Olsen's just a jerkwad. The stories I could tell you about that guy. I used to fund every year he'd run for office. I would fund a whole bunch of signs that would say "Re-elect Jim Olsen for Village Idiot," and I put them all over the place. He never got more than like 9%, but he would run every year on these really racist policies. I used to have one of those signs still. I don't know what happened to it. I think it got ruined. I wonder where it is, Kat. I used to have one somewhere. Anyway, screw Jim Olsen. That guy sucks. But he made a fortune, and now we have to deal with him. Lost Waves. You see the Death Clock movie yet? No, I haven't seen the Death Clock movie yet. I need to, though. Courtney Washington. What in the world? That's it. That's the title. Lost Waves is going on BBBYQ. We should be getting their plan for emerging from bankruptcy sometime in the next 14 days. So, because they have a hearing on that plan on the 12th, and they're required to present it, I think, by the 1st. So, we have 3 days for them to present it. There we go. Sandy Sapien, Houston, sir, I need help. Do I opt in or opt out of this interactive broker's message? Is it the opt in, opt out regarding the BBYQ message? If you opt out, what you're doing is you're preserving your right to sue whatever garbage is left after BBYQ emerges from bankruptcy. So BBYQ will take the good assets and leave bankruptcy and leave some entity behind that is BBYQ garbage. That's a whole bunch of debt. And if you opt out, you're reserving the right to sue that pile of debt for money, for whatever reason you may want to. But you're not going to get anything out of it, and you're not going to be able to afford to pay a lawyer to sue that pile of debt to get anything out of it. So if you want to opt out and reserve your right to sue that pile of debt, you're welcome to. But meanwhile, all the other shareholders will be in a new company that's emerged from bankruptcy and won't have that debt. So I didn't bother opting out because I have no interest in suing a pile of debt for money I'll never receive. So I didn't opt out. In lots of ways, you watched Super Mario movie yet? I have not. I think it's on Paramount, so I can. Yeah, Chris Lick. Title for show, Let's Make Zero Debt AMC. Good luck. Scott Lumley, Houston. If we set up a base on the moon, would that slow down the effects of gravity loss on astronauts, or is the gravity on the moon too low to be a preventative? It would help negate some of the loss in muscle mass and bone density, but basically it'll just take longer for astronauts to experience osteoporosis and things like that than it would in zero G. I do think one of the best systems that we could put forward, and I talked about this in my master's thesis. Hey, Orange Cat, how's it going, buddy? Orange Cat's going to come in and specifically hiss at Monkey Butt. Hey, Orange Cat, you can come say hi? You can come say hi. The dog's not going to do anything. She's just laying there. Come on. Come on, you got your stupid little Halloween outfit on already. Come here. Orange Cat, come here. Come here. Want to show everyone your stupid outfit? Do ya? Come on. I'm going to pick you up. Is that what you want? I'm going to come get you? No, you stay there. show everyone your stupid little outfit. There we go. Yeah. Mama's little pumpkin. Yeah. See, Mama's little pumpkin? Cattail karaoke and orange tail. Yeah, you can sit right there. You can hang out. Yeah. I mean, you're just such a dumb little outfit. It's so stupid. Yes, it is. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, moon. Granted, you still have bombardment of cosmic rays because there's no magnetic field, and you'll get weird cancers, and you're still going to get ultimately loss of bone density, loss of muscle mass, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That I think, biologically speaking, you limit the amount of time people can spend on the moon. You make it 6 weeks or something. That's it. You're allowed 6 weeks on the moon, and then, it's going to be years before you're allowed to go back again, if you're allowed to go back again. But creating permanent colonies on the moon with people who go to live on the moon and never come back to Earth, I think is a recipe for disaster that will result in, basically the moon trying to separate itself from the rest of humanity. Because if you're born and raised on the moon, you could never come to Earth. Your little brittle little bones will snap like a twig. You'd be this weird gangly freak who's like 7 feet tall and has no muscle mass. And you just won't be able to do it. You'll just die. So you'll create an entire species essentially on the moon that after a couple of generations, they'll be like, why do we send all of our resources to Earth? Fuck Earth. This is ours. Why do Jeff Bezos' great-great-great-great-grandkids get to benefit off of all of our hard work? And you will have an Earth-Moon war, like you have with every colonial war in history, right? The United States, what became the United States, was a colony of Great Britain. And the United States was like, wait a minute. We dig all this stuff for you. We grow all this cotton for you. We have all this industry, and you make all the profit off of it. No. We want to be able to control our own resources. And so we went to war. Every colonial power on Earth faced this eventually. The colonists and the folks who were colonized are all like, get the fuck out of here. And that will happen on the moon too. So if you want to avoid, a really violent space war 100 years from now, you limit the amount of time people can spend on the moon today before they go up there and start creating colonies. But in the end, you will slow the progression of debilitating losses of bone density and muscle mass, but they will still happen on the moon. Moon's about 1/6 our gravity. SJ Chang 47 Houston, are you buying more BBYQ or another place? I'm buying about $100 a week. It's another 500 shares a week or so while I can. That's about what I have to play with. And, I'll keep doing that. I am totally accepting the fact that this is a complete speculative play and that I could easily lose everything as well as have it pay off for me in the end. But, there's a lot of tickets. That's what I'm spending on right now. And if it's a loss, then I have my tax write-off for this coming tax year. Scott Pollen, nice pop on GME prices, Sam. Yeah, went from 16 something to 17 something. Not so bad. Scott Lumley, what if we set up a base that rotated the speed high enough to replicate Earth gravity and coat it with a thick layer of lead to prevent genetic damage? You can do that. The problem is lead will cost a fortune to bring up. So have you guys ever seen, was it Avenue 5? It's actually, they do a pretty good job with the space physics in that TV show. It's a comedy that takes place in this luxury liner cruise ship that's in space, and they screw up and they're all doomed. And one of the funny things is that one of the sewage pipes breaks and vents all their poop into space and becomes this ring of poo around their ship. Well, the thing is that you want to use water and sewage and gray water and black water and stuff like that as a shield for galactic rays. Hydrogen actually does a great job blocking galactic rays, and water contains hydrogen. So you would make the shell of your ship basically your water tank / your sewage tank, etc. And that's a great way to block those solar rays while also bringing in something you need, which is you need water to live, right? You also need a place to store your poo, a system to filter it and turn it back into water again. So rather than using something really heavy like lead, you can use something relatively light like water you're going to need anyway, and you can line your spaceship with that stuff. There's also some really cool products that have been invented in the last few years. It's like we've seen things like carbon nanotubes. Well, there's also like beryllium nanotubes and borax type tubes, and you can make clothing wear out of these weird borax tubes. They can also block galactic cosmic rays. So there's lots of work going into that as well. Lots of ways. You ever watched the show Billions? I have not. I've been told to, but I've not watched it yet. Snort alert. Oi, Houston. Why are you doing 2-hour shows, not 10-hour shows or 1-hour shows? 2 hours is about as far as my brain can take me. My voice runs out. My head's cooked. Because you guys ask questions like they're all over the place. And I don't know where they're going to go, what they're going to be about. And that actually just fries my brain. I can't do much more than that. Like a lot of the other YouTubers in this realm, if they do live shows, they're talking about one topic and one topic only the entire time. And also, I can't do that because I just want to kill myself. If I only could talk about one thing forever, I need more. I need more stimuli to make the brain cooker be stimulated. JTOS median W2 wage per SSA.gov is $37,586. There you go. And we're paying a median mortgage of $2,200 or something. Yeesh. Andrew Stewart, your Mariners kicking ass. My Cards and Rockies sucking ass. Yeah, the Mariners have moved up in July in the MLB power rankings. They were like 14th, and now they're number 4. Julio Rodriguez has gone just ape. He has a 400 and something batting average for August. He has 25 RBIs in 21 games. He broke a 100-year-old record by getting 17 hits in 4 games. When over that same 4-game span, the Yankees as a team had 17 hits. Cal Raleigh's turning it on. Like they've tied a team record by hitting 7 home runs against the Royals when the Royals suck on Saturday. Swept the Royals. They're in sole position of first place. They've got the 3rd best record in all of the American League right now, and they're just turning and burning, baby. But they've got a really hard schedule for September. They're going to be facing both the Astros and the Rangers, who were their other competitors for the wild card / American League West title. So it's going to be interesting. Their pitching is top notch. 3 of the Mariners starters are qualifiers for the Cy Young Award this year. I don't know if any of them are going to get it, but they're pitching really, really, really well. Hey, Orange Cat, are you comfy? Can you do more? This is the longest you've ever sat in my lap in your entire life. So, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take Orange Cat. Yeah, now you don't want to go anywhere because the monkey butt's blocking the door. That's it. This Orange Cat loves to like sit at the top of the stairs, and Monkey will be too scared to go past her to go down the stairs. She'll get stuck. And now Monkey's blocking the door, so the Orange Cat doesn't want to like leave to go out. Just desserts. Page from your book, you little dick. All right. Eric D. Happy Monday, HW. What if you were born on the moon? Would you be then acclimated to gravity? You would. And you would probably never be able to come to Earth and live a functional life, because you would, at a certain point when you lack bone density, you can't make it back. You lose it forever. And if you were born in a low gravity environment like the moon, and you go through puberty and everything that way and become an adult, you're going to be a weird gangly creature with really weak muscles built for a really weak environment. Hi, buddy. And your bone density, you can be like a little bird. The slightest thing will be able to snap your bones. So, yeah, well, look at you. Look at you, you little booger. You all having a good day? Yes? I mean, this cat's been in this house for 8 months, 9 months. And this is how long it's taken her to, like, hang out. So, seeing as the addition of the kitten makes her, like, want to leave. She's not a big fan of the kitten. The fat boy over here loves the kitten, but this one, not so much. Okay. Snare alert. Oi, Houston, BlackRock's Aladdin. Elaborate like I'm 5 to a smooth brains. I don't know anything about BlackRock's Aladdin. So maybe we shall learn together. BlackRock Aladdin. BlackRock Aladdin. Aladdin is an electronic system built by BlackRock Solutions, the risk management division of the largest investment management corporation. Handled about $11 trillion in assets, which was about 7% of the world's financial assets. Kept track of about 30,000 investment portfolios. Launched in 1988. So it's investment management software. Does the thing. I mean, BlackRock's entire MO is you buy 7 to 9% of every company on Earth, and then you just ride the index from that point forward. Same thing like Vanguard does. All these big institutions do that. So, I mean, Aladdin's been around since '88, so there's someone that's doing buying and selling, but I don't know how much algorithm goes into, I will just own 7 to 9% of every company on Earth. Seems pretty straightforward. Okay. Let's see what these guys have to say. This is Startup Talkie. Eat shit. You too. Okay. As a business, it is not about buying and selling a product service, much more than that. For business to run properly, everything needs to be on point, blah, blah, blah. Okay, tell me about Aladdin. Risk management. This is, okay, about Aladdin. As the name suggests, it's not related to Aladdin, the magic lamp from Arabian Nights, although the work it does is no less than that of genie fulfilling wishes. Aladdin, asset liability debt derivative investment network, the system whose work is to keep an eye on the markets and stop anything going wrong. It connects people and technology together to manage funds. It's part of BlackRock Incorporated, American global investment management company. The system was found after BlackRock was founded in the year 1988. In the year 2000, Aladdin was introduced as a system for investment management user. Software works with thousands of computers for 34 hours and is continually striving to manage financial thousands of computers for 34 hours. I don't know what that means. 34 hours? Why 34 hours? I don't get it. Aladdin was first created to handle BlackRock business. Now, apart from BlackRock, it is used by different clients of BlackRock to manage their investments. So, since 2008, use has surged on the most important parts of investment management industry in the world. How does Aladdin work? The system is involved in portfolio management to risk management. It's all about providing a smooth investment process to the client with the help of a number of computers, people with the tools required for portfolio management, like trading, operation, accounting. It gives out proper risk analytics. So it kind of works like a Bloomberg terminal, I guess. Aladdin gives out powers through its tools to users that they can communicate efficiently, and if any problem arises, they can solve it quickly during the investment process. That doesn't tell me how it works at all. So 55,000 investment workers are connected to Aladdin. Depend on it. That's more than 240 clients around the world. Brilliant software, no new paperwork, eradicate excessive repair costs for machines. Software provides facility for both trading and bonds without the need of a middleman. Software manages wealth for some of the biggest companies. Software contains centralized database. Aladdin contains a Climate Risk Reporting Act that notes if there's risk that could be caused by climate change of the portfolio. So basically it's like, hey, this company can be bad things, red flag comes up. So it sounds like a Bloomberg terminal to me. That doesn't really seem that exciting. Does it to you, little orange cat? Does it sound that exciting to you? Oh, look at your little face. Everyone can see the top of your head, and that's about it. Scratch that orange cat. Singing to her tail. Here? Yeah? You look at the dog went away. Giving you a chance to run if you want to. you have to say it for yourself? Look right in the camera right there. That's you. It's you in the camera. Yo, you guys read an orange cat. It's the Halloween cats, black and orange. Yes. Smile with your eyes into the camera, little kitty. Okay. Where were we? Mario Valdez, Houston. Whatever happened to Be Big? Man, I was pretty hyped about it, but what a turd in the punch bowl that turned out to be. Well, ownership or management of Be Big were a bunch of criminals. I've not heard if the folks who were suing to get a receiver for the company got the receiver. I know the board basically just abandoned the company, and I wouldn't doubt if some of the board members are going to prison for manipulating stock and insider trading and things like that. But they were a bunch of criminals, and Be Big had a very good video, short form video company, and they just ruined it, right? They like stopped paying their server farms. They just, yeah, you got me, man. They did a lot of garbage. Ready to make a run for it? Okay, there you go. Orange cat is gone. Left a pile of hair in my lap. Don't follow the orange cat, monkey. Don't be a dick. I know that cat yells at you a lot, but don't be a dick. Just hang out. So yeah, they're, as far as I could tell, they're pretty much toast. Foolish citizens named the live stream Jimmy Bagholders Unite. Shadowfire. As a writer, I sometimes name things after I know the content. If you use commenters on the topic, you don't know the content ahead of time. That's true. Speaking of writing, yesterday was the 8th anniversary of when I should have died and been squished like a bug when I rolled my truck over. So, and I just also discovered that my blog had completely failed. But, oops. There we go. So, the 8th anniversary of that was yesterday. And this is the blog I wrote and published a few days later after surviving all of that. And it's a long one because it starts off like normal day and then, you know, dun dun dun. Well, pictures haven't loaded yet. But yeah, then that. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal. So if you want to read about it, you want yourself a nice, fun read and learn about geology and flipping trucks in the desert, by all means, check that out. Yeah. Okay. Where was I? Speaking of writing. All right. Shadow fire topics. Maui fire, melted aluminum off cars, extreme heat damage, looked up melting points of things caught in heat. We got pictures of vehicles using physics, science, knowledge, theorize. Speaking of which, tomorrow is our Charity Tuesday. We're going to be raising money for Maui relief and rebuilding. I have, well, my friend Andy, who's going to give me a bunch of Blue Sky codes. He closed his Blue Sky account, and I don't know if I'd have the codes to give out. But I got a bunch from Belgian Whale and a couple other folks. I've got 3 of my own, so I think I have 4 from Belgian Whale, so I have 8 maybe, unless other people want to donate Blue Sky codes who happen to have them. And we will raffle off every dollar donated towards Maui relief will become an entry to get a Blue Sky code. So we'll do 8 raffles and get Blue Sky codes for everyone. And if you happen to win, you don't want your Blue Sky code, I'll raffle again. Or if you already are a member of Blue Sky, we can find someone else we can raffle it to. But you can guys join me over on that Twitter alternative, Blue Sky, and hang out over there. It'd be nice to get some of you in there chit chatting because right now it's kind of lonely. It's not very many people in there, but it's growing. It's growing. So Yeah, he removed himself because I think he's just trying to close social media out of his life. That's why he's like, all right, I waste too much time on social media. Unlike him, it's not like it's my job to be on social media. For him, it's a distraction from his actual job. So that's probably why. But he said, oh, I'll try to open the account, see if the codes are still there, and then send them over. But I haven't heard from him yet. So I've got 8, and if he can get his, I'll give us 13, I think, to give out. But, it's a nice start. And then you guys will get codes every 2 weeks, and you can start bringing your folks in, and so on and so on. And like a bacteria, we will subdivide and grow. Iglimon, for anyone playing Baldur's Gate, I have some bad news. Brainworms and people are real, but they don't make you cool, Lovecraftian creature. It provides a nice link to something about brainworms. Yeah, you don't want brainworms or prions or anything like that, putting holes in your brain. Shadowfire, are you familiar with the Canadian housing market? Familiar with how the Canadian housing market fluctuates differently from the USA? It doesn't significantly fall with U.S. housing crashes, always different having of laws or lacking of them. I mean, I'm passingly familiar with Canadian housing market. I do know that they have a very significant portion of the market is adjustable rate mortgages, much more than the United States. And a lot of folks are about to have their mortgages reset to really much higher rates in the next year than where they were, because it's a 2-year intro before your rates reset. And if you bought a home in December 2021, you're paying 2.5% interest, and now it's going to reset to 7.5% interest. And so either you're going to have to suck it up and pay a boatload more. Like, you guys ever played with a mortgage calculator? Okay. Here's open. Oh, that tell me what is mortgage calculator. Give me the stupid mortgage calculator itself, you ding dong. Oh, here we go. Here's just one from. All right, here's mortgage calculator. Right now, 8.134% is the fixed interest rate. Right. So let's say you're Canadian. What's the average home price in Canada? $612,000. That's Canadian money. So $612,000. $612,000. At 8%, your mortgage rate is $4,511 a month as your payment. Now, let's say it's 2021, right? And your mortgage is 1.5, $2,112. So when your mortgage resets to 8.1 or whatever it is, you are going to be paying more than double what you're paying right now for your house. In a market where if you can't afford to spend an extra $2,000 starting in January, $2,300 starting in January, you're going to start burning through your savings if you have any, and you're going to eventually have to sell your house as a distressed sale. And there's a bunch of folks. There's 790,000 homeowners in Canada, which is not a very large country. That's close to 1% of all homeowners. Are suddenly going to have to sell their homes distressed because they're not going to be able to afford the balloon payments on their mortgages when they reset. Australia is in the same boat. Almost all mortgages in Australia are adjustable rate mortgages. So it's going to be real rough starting this winter for a lot of Canadian home buyers. And it's just going to compound from there. Now, the Canadian market does have an absolute incredible number of foreign investors, especially from China and Hong Kong and India. So you have a lot of billionaires that live in these countries and millionaires that want to get money out of the country, so they'll buy real estate in Canada. And they do this a lot in Miami and LA and New York and stuff. But Canadian markets, especially Vancouver and Toronto, are like a home for these foreign investors. Because let's say you are a billionaire in China, right? You want to get the hell out of China. You don't want to be in China. No one wants to be in China. And if you're a billionaire, you sure as shit don't want to be in China, because your billions can be taken from you at any moment. So what do? You buy a $10 million townhome in Vancouver, right? In that way, if push comes to shove, and you get the fuck out of China, you've got $10 million sitting offshore somewhere, right? You don't need to live in Vancouver. You can sell that house. You can move somewhere and live a middle-class life for the rest of your life. But you're out of China and don't have to worry about like being murdered in a political prison. Which is why China really limits the amount of yuan that can leave the country. But a whole bunch of dollars come into the country, and that's easy for billionaires to play with their own factories and companies and stuff. Originally, the big real estate boom in Vancouver was from people from Hong Kong who were fleeing ahead of the communist takeover. So up until 1997, Hong Kong was a colony of the UK. They followed British laws. They were super duper capitalist, and a lot of rich people got made in Hong Kong. And starting in the early 90s, the doomsday clock of January 1st, 1997 was coming, when power is going to transition from British control to Chinese control. So you got a bunch of billionaires and millionaires who are like, well, China is a communist country. They say they're going to let us remain capitalist, but I don't trust that, so I'm going to move out of the country, or at least get my family situated somewhere. You had a bunch of triads, a whole bunch of criminals who were part of these Chinese gangs. They're like, well, the Chinese are definitely going to crack down on us, so we need to get the hell out of the country. And back then, I don't know what the rules are now, but back then, in the early 90s, if you had $250,000 in cash, you could become a resident in Canada. And so when my dad was designing some of the first big buildings built out of the land where the World's Fair was in '86, it's a place that's become Yaletown in Vancouver, the Chinese were starting to flood into Vancouver in really high numbers. Because Vancouver was appealing. You know, it's an easier flight than from like the East Coast to Canada. You're on the West Coast, lots of flights to Asia. And so like, oh, Vancouver's a good spot to go. It was cheaper to become a resident there than it was to become in the US, where it was harder. And also you got the Commonwealth, so you could do it without a visa, because Hong Kong was part of the Commonwealth, Vancouver's part of the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth. So you can move to a place like Canada pretty easily. There's a bunch of them that went to Australia and stuff for using the same things. And as then began this sort of chain migration, and the huge real estate trusts, Hong Kong and Chinese real estate trusts started buying up a lot of property because, you know, again, you now have an investment in a hard currency country, and if push comes to shove, well, you can live there. You don't have to worry about the Chinese, you know, throwing you in prison. On the converse, not conversely, but tangentially parallel, you have a lot of people in like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates. They've got piles and piles of cash, and they need somewhere to put it as well. Plus, living in the desert for half the year sucks. It's crazy hot. It's gross. You know, you don't want to deal with it. You want to go someplace comfortable. So you go to Toronto, Vancouver, New York, Miami, London, Monaco, like Switzerland. You leave the country for at least half the year. So you have a whole bunch of folks that have millions and billions of dollars buying up real estate in those cities for the same reasons. You know, they're buying up vacation homes and ski resorts. They're buying up lakeside mansions. They're buying, you know, penthouse apartments and luxury apartment buildings. A lot of the buildings in New York, if we look at New York skyline, New York City skyline, right? Some of these really tall, weird, skinny buildings, these guys right here, these are luxury apartment towers, and they're empty. Like almost every unit in this building sells for millions and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of, dollars, and they're empty. They get bought by a Russian oligarch, by a Saudi billionaire, by a Hong Kong, you know, billionaire, so on. They just sit empty. They are entirely basically a savings account. And the problem is that you build these towers and no one's living in them, and you're using up real estate to store wealth and not people, that it causes the price of everything else to rise around it. And then once the value gets high enough in those places, then, lesser Saudi millionaires and Russian oligarchs buy the units in these not quite as impressive buildings because the value of them has risen enough that they now can store millions in those places. These places are super empty. They're beautiful. They're fantastic. And they're very, 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 very empty. So that's one problem with like foreign residential real estate investing is that so many of these buildings aren't just third, fourth, fifth homes. They're like the 50th home, and they're not renting them out, which is why Vancouver passed a rule that if a home sits empty for a year, you get taxed like crazy on the assessed value. It's like 2% of the assessed value per year. So if that multi-million-dollar townhome sits empty for a year, you could be spending $100,000 on just taxes for that next year on that home, and you don't want to be spending money on taxes. So what they'll do is they'll rent it out for cheap to college students and put 8 college students in there, a couple $100 a month each. And yeah, it's not worth what the rent should be, but at least you're not paying $100,000 in taxes a year on it. Personally, I think it should be more punitive than that. If your home sits empty for a year, make it 5% of the value. Something just asinine. And it might cure a bit of that foreign investment. And you might want to change your rules about who can buy land where, which is what Florida was trying to do. And Florida did something similar. Basically made it illegal for all the Cuban immigrants to own land in Florida, which is Republican based, and Ron DeSantis is a moron. So, oops. He was trying to hurt the Chinese, and he hurt his entire voter base instead. My voice is scratchy. There was a lot of smoke this weekend. Air's clear now, though. It's kind of thunderstorming today. Okay. Danny Motes, Houston. Community was a great recommend. Who was your celeb crush on that show? Oh, I love Community. I mean, I just love what a train wreck Britta was, personally. I don't know if I could date her or anything, but I would definitely just be amazed at the decision-making process that chick had. Every character on that show was so brilliant. The dude that played Fat Neil, he's a great Twitter follow when I was still on Twitter. Seemed like a really good dude. Garrett cracked me up constantly. I think Garrett was a brilliant character. And then just Leonard. I don't know if you ever saw the end credits thing. Sometimes they have Leonard doing food reviews of Let's Chips and things. They were so brilliant. Shut up, Leonard. I don't know. Monkey. What? And then the girl that played Annie, she went on to star in Glow, The Glamorous Ladies of Wrestling, which was a brilliant show. It should not have been canceled. Netflix, screw you, Netflix. Give us one more season of Glow. I love that show. It was great. Oh, there's the reset of the chat. Gotta scroll back up again. Did I miss a super chat in here? Got one there. One there. Oh, goodness, I did miss Chris Taylor. How you doing? Is tomorrow Charity Tuesday? I like to do some good things. Yes, Chris Taylor, tomorrow's Charity Tuesday. Raising money for Maui relief. Sorry I missed your super chat there. Okay, where was I? BOFH, I think, was. I am so far behind. This might be setting records how far behind I am. I have not even gotten to the show starting yet. It's 3:50 p.m. Been doing the show for an hour and 20 minutes. I have not gotten to a chat where the show started. BOFH, any updates from Rosa? I think the deadline to appeal is passed by now, so I hope she filed something. I heard through the grapevine she did. Someone posted something against the Twitter showing that she filed something, but I've not heard from her saying she filed anything yet. I did ask her, and then she ghosted me. So, if you guys see something, let me know. She posts something on the internet, let me know. I will check it out. Nikes, I think is how you want to pronounce it. Welcome to Houston's Hot Hole. Sorry, I assume at least one or two of us will get the joke. Yeah, go visit Kitty's Hot Hole on the border between Idaho and Nevada. Great place to go. Kitty's Hot Hole. I talk about it in that piece about me flipping the truck. Lots of ways. Who killed Tupac? Have you seen Suge Knight doc on Paramount? I've not seen Suge Knight doc on Paramount. I have no idea who killed Tupac. My own personal theory is Tupac, because he became a gangster rapper. I mean, he wasn't a gangster rapper before. He was a ballet dancer, then a backup dancer for Digital Underground, who then got invited to rap on Digital Underground, and then took on the persona of being like a hard gangster rapper. Is that he played that role to his death. I think Tupac was gay, personally. I don't know if you ever saw that interview of him from the Baltimore Art School. They did a documentary about following some kids around at Baltimore Art School. He's like 17. You see that kid and you see him interviewed and you're like, that kid's gay. So my own personal theory is that Tupac was gay. And that he had to take on this really hard persona to make it fit with his gangster rap that he did. And he ultimately bit off more than he could chew, and he faked it till he maked it. And yeah, and then that's where the problems lay. But yeah, watch that interview with him from like when he was like 17 from Baltimore Arts Academy, and you see that guy and like the interviewer's like, "Yeah, any girlfriends?" He's like, no. But you know, he was a wise man. He was raised by a mother who worked for the Black Panthers and who was a fighter for equal rights. And like, she was a powerful influence in his life. But like, how many ballerinas do you know are like hard gangsters? The only one I know of is Tupac. And his mannerisms, the way he talked before he became a gangster, so different than after he like became, a gangster rapper. But who killed him, I have no idea. I was listening to a guy on NPR the other day talking about his biography on Biggie Smalls. And, Biggie was a drug dealer. Like, he dealt in the streets. He went to where his family was in North Carolina, like Raleigh, and he was living in a flop house, stealing from there. And he like did some raps, made a demo tape, and he never liked, he's always scared of what people would think if he's like, here's my demo tape, and they went, oh, this sucks, and they would just break him as a person. But he would let other people promote him. So like, they would be like, oh man, this is amazing. Can I give it to my friend? He'd be like, yeah, do it. But he never felt like he could give it to somebody because he didn't want to get any like negative feedback. And it got in the hands of P. Diddy. And P. Diddy was like, we're signing you. And Biggie Smalls like, well, I have no money. Either you give me a check now or I have to go back to North Carolina and sell a bunch of drugs. And P. Diddy's like, I'm going to get the contract together. Hang tight. And Biggie Smalls like, I don't have time for that. We're back to North Carolina dealing drugs out of some flop house, trap house or whatever. And he gets a phone call from P. Diddy. He's like, what the fuck are you doing back to North Carolina? Get your ass back to New York. I've got a contract for you. We're going to make an album. We're going to have it out by summer. Get the fuck back here. And Biggie's like, okay, fine. He gets on a bus, goes back to New York. And like 2 hours later, the house that he was in gets raided by the cops and everyone's arrested and goes to prison. So Biggie Smalls, we almost never had a Biggie Smalls result. But the whole East Coast, West Coast thing was just stupid. And I don't know. Infighting was dumb. I don't know where I'm going with that story, but it was interesting. I'd never heard that tale before. Shadowfire. Advice for walking a three-legged dog in the heat. I avoid hottest parts of the day. I think he generates more body heat because more energy is expended. He can run fairly fast and loves walks. Also, they sweat through their paws. So they pant and sweat through their paws, and they've got one less paw to sweat through. I guess it's hard. Bring water. Let him do his thing. Like, you can let dogs get pretty tired and pretty exhausted. They'll just barf, and then you fill them full of water, right? If it's hot outside, you might want booties to keep them from burning their paws. But also you want booties that are breathable because they got to sweat through their paws, right? Got to sweat through and let off moisture. Yeah, like I would feel miserable if I had to bring Monkey Butt to Arizona for the summer. That would suck. We've done some road trips in the desert in the summertime, and she hates every second of it. But again, like, you know, we aren't walking on black tarmac or sidewalk. We're on like sand, and you can kind of dig your paws in the sand and not have to worry about burning them so much. But yeah, just lots of water. I mean, on those hot days, she'll drink gallons and gallons and gallons of water. She'll be panting it out in no time. So bring lots of water. Or, you know, put a pee pad in the garage and let them run around in there or something. But beyond that, Dmitry Maximov, GNS, I got it at 55 cents. Tell me I'm not an idiot. That's going to boom boom. Well, I don't think it's going to boom boom for about 3 months until shorts have to provide the dividend, and they can't. That's when you're going to see forced closure of positions. So, you know, what did they do anything today? $2.30. Price is pretty good right now. We were down at 54 cents August 4th, and it's rising. It's up there. It's at 230. So yeah, I think you did fine. I mean, you're up 5x right now on it. There might be a point it might go up post dividend plateau and drop right back down again. So it might be one of those things where you can sell, consolidate, wait a few days, and then collect a whole bunch more. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Before you get a rocket ship out of it at the end. Because other people are going to be buying it, probably other investors and not the shorts at this point. Shorts don't buy until they have to, and they don't have to right now. So yeah, keep your eyes on it. Bill Coin, a shadow bring a large spray bottle of water, keep them wet. Also a nice thing. Although if it's too hot, sometimes that can work to your detriment. If it's like 115 degrees outside, then you're at wet bulb temperature, and they're just the humidity just like makes me even hotter. Voice Stupid Houston. If one were to create a subterranean megastructure to store people, art, seeds, etc., in anticipation of the coming collapse, where is the most geologically stable area for it? Well, the seed vault in Norway was kept there because they figured the permafrost added to the rock would make it really stable. And now they're discovering the permafrost is melting and the rock is changing dramatically. Everywhere there's mountains, there are faults. Mountains are built creating fault lines. So there's no place to build where you wouldn't have a fault line going through everything. What you want is water. You want be able to move air, and you want it to be cool but not too cool, and warm but not too warm. So you can't go too deep in the earth, and you can't be too shallow in places where you get big temperature extremes. You also got to think about groundwater. Like, if you're in a place where it's raining a ton, you're going to have just tons of water coming through your underground structure. But if it's too dry, you won't have access to groundwater. So you want something kind of in between. Maybe something like, if you look in the Americas, something like underground layers in, I don't know, Missouri, Arkansas. Kind of like a little Goldilocks-ish in there. underground. If you're in Europe, underground layers in. Well, there's a lot of earthquakes in Italy. Spain's really hot, not too much water, so that might be a little hard. Maybe foothills on the northern side of the Alps, where the land's a little more stable. Southern France, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Germany, Asia. Well, anywhere in Australia is fine. There's no earthquakes in Australia. So probably like South Queensland, where you're not quite in the jungle yet, but you get weathered enough to like grow plants and things, so you'll have access to groundwater. I don't know. I'll ponder on that more. Bex Houston, happy birthday. When are you gonna start blogging again? You really do need to, even if you think it's not boring and it's not. Yeah, I don't like putting together blog posts. If I'm on adventures, I'm usually like by myself and I can pump it out, and that works. But like doing regular blogs about gemstones or ghost towns, those ones start to get tricky. Like I started a 3-part series about like where meteorites come from. I never finished part 3. It's been like a decade. So I have it started, but there's so much more stuff I've got to add. And then it's like the grad school, so I was writing a bunch of stuff for that. I bet I could take some of my grad papers and I can convert them into blog posts. I can probably do some of that, because some of them are pretty darn good. And about really cool topics like LiDAR finding ancient ruins in Honduras and stuff. But yeah, I need to do more. I haven't really done much since I got monkey butt, really. Like a lot of my time I'd spend writing is now spent just going for like 10-mile walks with monkey butt. It's your fault, monkey. It's your fault. It's all you. Yeah. And it's easy to just pop on this show and just yickety yak yak than to type, rewrite, edit, get ready, do all that. So that's where we are there. Really stupid hot take. Adam Aaron is a genius and has done exactly what he set out to do, manipulate the apes into making him and his buddies a lot of money. When I look at his decisions, though, through that lens, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Lots of ways. Can AMC go through a hostile takeover right now that the price is so low? Well, I mean, the original point of the shares that became ape was they got approved for 5 billion preferred shares as a poison pill to a hostile takeover. So if there's a hostile takeover, Adam Aaron can just sell 500 million shares or more and make it harder for someone to take over. But if the price is really low, they could take over anyways. Like the way I figure it is if Disney wants a theater chain, which they can do now because the Paramount rule no longer applies, they can buy up AMC for a couple $1 billion. They don't care about $5 billion. It just gets rolled into whatever $100 billion in debt Disney already has, and then all of a sudden they have a theater chain. It would have been cheaper for them to do it with Cinemark, a Regal, those guys, than with AMC. But you know, they were in the process of bankruptcy, and now maybe it's just a complicated problem to get leases and things out of that. Yeah. Ponder. Kelly Reed, happy birthday, Houston. For this impending crash, maybe coming fall, Alright plays a VXY, VIXY, and GME, gold stocks, DRV. What price could they make from it, and what should I add? Not financial advice. Well, let's look at UVXY. So that's a common one. We can look back a few years and we can see that this is the crash right as COVID was happening, right? The equivalent price, because this thing splits a lot and it decays over time, and they do another reverse split and consolidate and so on. It went from the equivalent of $1,234, and a few weeks later was at $9,000. So it can do a 900% climb in, what's that, March 20th, and that is February 21st. So in a month, it did 900% climb. So if you happen to have shares during that, and you get a 900% climb when everyone's like, the sky is falling, nothing's worth anything anymore, we are in a crash, you're going to get a hell of a spike out of an inverse fund like that. It has really tempered out over a while. Last summer, we had a pretty decent drop in the SPY, and it didn't do that much. Can we go back? This is last fall. We got a little jump because we had some sketchy issues where we thought maybe the economy might crash because they weren't going to pass the debt ceiling. And it went up, 30-40%? And then decays back down again. Last summer, it was getting just a little spike, but they were just sort of reactions to the SPY, but not big reactions, because the SPY didn't have a 37-40% drop in a matter of a month like we saw in 2020, when the whole economy just went and the Dow dropped 39%, I think is what it was, in a one month span, as we thought the world was going to end. That type of volatility is what triggers these things to go really bonkers. So let's say the price is $16 now. A 900% increase will get you to a couple $100. So $144, $150. So if you had calls, you'll get $10,000-$12,000 a call. Not too shabby out of it in profit if you're holding them as that volatility spikes. So long term, it's going to decay. That's but you will have a spike in there, and then the decay will happen again from that point forward. So they're not long-term shares to hold, but you can look at it as, I think the shit's about to hit the fan, or the shit is hitting the fan. Now I'm buying calls. That's something that you can do with it. Or now I'm buying shares, write it up, get rid of them, and then, buy a bunch of puts and write it back down again. Make money both ways. Kelly Reed, Houston, what do you say all the naysayers about housing in Canada that say it can never crash due to high demand, low supply? This just sounds like 2008. It can crash. How many vacant homes in Canada? Canada has 1.3 million vacant dwellings. That's a lot of vacant homes. So yeah, that's a lot of vacant homes. For a population of 30 million, that's a significant portion. I mean, that's enough to house 10% of the population, more or less, of Canada in just vacant homes that exist. But a lot of those vacant homes are owned by, again, those Chinese real estate investors, Saudi Arabians, Russians, stuff like that. Says 54, Trump trial date set for March 4th, 2024. The man is raging. His lawyers are both asking for more time and claiming on Fox News that he doesn't need to prep for the truth. He can't wait for trial. Yeah, that's in the D.C. case, right? Or is that in the documents case in Florida? I can't remember which one it was today. So that means he's set for next spring for New York Superior Court, or New York Supreme Court. Georgia has it said, but Georgia wants to do next winter as well. And then I think one of the cases is in May. So he's going to lose all his money and plus he might be heading back to court with E.G. and Carroll because he violated the terms of his of the findings in that case where he sexually harassed and defamed her, and he continued to after the case. So he's now facing like another $10 million in fines from the court on that one. Whoops. Punesca comes around once a month. Shadow Fire MIT beer distribution game and stories around it helped me understand some of the pizza ordering head scratch puzzle. I'll have to look that up. MIT beer distribution game. MIT beer distribution game. MIT Sloan game is one of the oldest, most widely used management simulations now available online as interactive multiplayer webism. It's an educational game that is used to experience typical coordination problems of supply chain process. It reflects role-play simulation where several participants play with each other. I'll have to check this out. Okay. I'll play that sucker. All right, that's interesting. I'd never heard of that. Learn something new. Whoa! I'm going to take that sucker on. Okay. Jaden's cool, not to be weird, but why is the back of your tongue red? Isn't everyone's tongue red? I mean, you get plaque on it throughout the day and it kind of turns it white. But I don't know, less plaque back there, and so it's more red. My tip of my tongue has less plaque and it's more red pink than the rest of the tongue. But that's the color of it, and the whiteness is from plaque that you gather throughout the day. So that's why you get tongue scrapers or the toothbrushes with the tongue scraper on the back, and you can scrape some of that plaque off of there because there's a lot of plaque that collects on your little taste buds and stuff. But yeah, your tongue's not super. As the day goes on, your tongue gets less and less pink because you collect more plaque as you eat throughout the day. So you gotta scratch that stuff off of there. Bullion Z. What your recent thought on BBYQ? Think a revoke plan will happen before the 12th? Well, I mean, they have to release a plan, I think, before the 1st. So it's like a hearing on the 12th, and that people can choose to opt out by the 1st. That's where I think we're sitting. I don't know if the plan's going to be revoked or not. But it has to be accepted entirely by at least one of the classes, I think, in order to pass on. So if you have some of the classes that disagree within the class and you can't get 100% consensus, there's all sorts of weird rules of bankruptcy that I don't quite understand. I've been trying to learn them, but it's a lot. So we shall see. I wouldn't doubt if there's some tweaks that happen to the plan, but somebody pointed out the rule 363. Oh, crud. There's one where if they emerge from bankruptcy and get forgiven on their debts or a lot of their debts, and that people take the company, like let's say the collateralized debt, people are like, well, forgive your loans, we want equity in the company. At least 50% of the equity has to be in the existing shareholders. So they can't take more than 50% if they forgive the debt. So 6th Street, those guys that did the dip financing and the FILO and all that stuff, they can't get more than 50% of the company out of it. The shareholders will get the other 50%, which I think is interesting. We'll see where it goes. Boom, boom, boom. People having arguments in the chats with someone who's down on Ryan Cohen. We'll let the arguments happen there. I gotta scroll away. So this is gonna be caught up. So I'm only an hour and 15 minutes behind now. Yogi 2012, you tried the game where you type Florida man with your birth date, see what crazies pops up. Give it a try. The last time I did it, I got Florida man arrested after explaining where babies come from to children on play structure or something like that. But it's a way you guys can try and figure out my birthday, isn't it? I'm going to do my best to... Florida man tells children... This is Wink News. Otis Dwayne Ryan, 30. Authorities say Florida man climbed on top of playground equipment and yelled vulgar explanations of where babies come from. So that's mine. Of course, now you guys are going to search that and I'm ruined. Whoops. Okay. Giga Shukla, Houston, do you know if No Labs has any signal processing problems? I'm an electronics engineer, wouldn't mind moonlighting for shares. I don't know about signal processing. The problem they were having with their initial test, so they had a device, they put in armrests of chairs, had people sit down, they measured their glucose levels, then they did a finger prick test and tested what the machine measured and what the finger prick test says it is to calibrate. And so they managed to dial in the calibration, and now they can get it to almost as high as an invasive monitor that's like mounted inside the body that measures in real time. And so that's where their issues were. We're trying to figure out the calibration, because you have a lot of noise you have to cut out to figure out what radio frequency is the exact one that means what you think it means, and you got to like eliminate all this noise on the outside. So that seems to be where their issues have been, is calibrating that, and their calibration has gotten better and better and better and better, and now they've got an incredible accuracy that's up there with the devices that are embedded inside of bodies. Whoops, someone got accidentally timed out. I'm missing it. I don't see someone timed out. I don't only see that. I don't know. I can't tell. Andrew Freeman, you may have a flaw in your No Labs estimates. True, maybe 30 million who with the need, but new meds out there, diabetes meds, i.e. Mounjaro and Ozempic. Chicken BS is not as, blood sugar levels is not as critical as it has been in the past. That is also true. But then again, like, if you can have real time, if you can wear a watch, and that watch gives you your blood glucose levels, you can really be rest assured that you're going to be doing all right. And things like Ozempic, you're going to have to take that pill every day. You stop taking that pill, your metabolism goes, and you're right back to where you were again. And if you have problems with, a bunch of Hollywood stars taking the pill and you're not able to take them because like some people are taking it as a weight loss drug and not as an actual diabetes medication, then you might have shortages and things like that. So it presents a new problem. Iglamon, there's a race of people in Dune who have to be carted around in glorified fish tanks. Maybe there's a still hope for future Moonies. I mean, that's in The Expanse. That's what they had. They had, you know, some belter who grew up on the belt, this long, gangly string bean person, and when he came to Earth to like reveal information to the Earthlings, they had to have him in a water tank with a face mask on because he couldn't survive in the gravitational environment. Okay, I got 9 minutes. I am an hour behind still. So sorry if I didn't get to your questions, but we'll get there. Peachy Sunday, happy not birthday, Houston. I love the idea of septic tank hole. It will be quite interesting when we have a space war and we have a bunch of turd flying around space. Frozen turds destroying satellites because they're flying 17,000 miles an hour. All right, Andrew Freeman. Insurance companies only cover insulin-dependent diabetes with continuous glucose monitoring around a cost of $75 a month. Trust me on this. I deal with this every day with insurance companies. Well, there you go. And there's someone exactly what happened to Spance. Yes, thank you, Audio Bubbles. Bum. G-Front, hey pal, can you rank the Kubrick movies? Oh man, it's been so long since I saw Clockwork Orange probably 25 years ago. I've not seen it since. That one's not very fresh in the head. Eyes Wide Shut, I think could have been better if Kubrick hadn't died before the whole editing process was done. Dr. Strangelove is an imperfect movie, but it does have its very, very big charms. I might have to do a rewatch to get my brain straight on all of them. Do The Shining. What was it? What's his butt? Gomer Private Pile. Not Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now? No. Apocalypse Now. Do all those. I don't know, Monkey. We'll have to do a rewatch of all of them. Okay. Going through here, people talking about Aladdin bank software, blah, 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 blah. B2B Brand, did you undelete your site? Yeah, the problem with my blog was I had it set to automatic updates. So it update, but it never updated the PHP. So the PHP was like 5 years old, and then all of a sudden WordPress like, I can't update anymore because the PHP's out of date. And so I went on there, went to update the PHP, and it caused the entire blog to disappear forever. And I called up the tech support, and they managed to find the blog, make sure everything was updated to current PHP, and update everything. And it took them like an hour, but they rebuilt everything all over again. So the blog is working. I'm having the same issue with theisp.org that the Russians were constantly trying to hack. And they found the blog, but somehow it's still not loading anymore. Let me see if it's still loading. No, still not working. Unable to have, it's a HTTP error 500, unable to handle this request. So we'll get that one working again. All right. you get them on a couple codes, I'll send you. Fantastic. I will take them. And if you have codes, send them on over, and we will raffle them off for folks who donate to help Maui in their relief from just some of the worst fires ever experienced in the United States of America. And we're talking 115 confirmed dead, still dozens of people missing, and a lot of them are children. It's bad. Schools were closed because of the fires, and then kids are left home alone, and the fires just... So a lot of families are missing their little kids. And that's not fun to think about. I was also listening to a family on the radio, a family of 87, whole extended family, aunts, uncles, grandchildren, whatever. 87, one house survived the fire. All 87 people are living in that one house right now. We're talking dozens of homes destroyed, and they now have to live in this one house. Just bad. And my friends, Asa and Kyori, they own Garden Sushi and Vegan Ramen House. They lost their home. Another friends of mine lost the vacation home, so who gives a crap? Lost vacation home, whatever. But, they lost their place. And another friend of mine who was living in Lahaina, they lost their home. So I know people who have lost homes there. And most of the community lost homes. I mean, it's like 99.9% of the structures were destroyed. You got a couple of rare buildings here and there that survived, but everyone else is just homeless. They're living in tents, living in cars, they're living in hotel rooms, they're leaving Maui. Don't know if they'll be able to come back. It's brutal. Aaron Southy in Houston, fingers start moving up again. They close at $5, so squeezes on again. Well, if it follows previous months, we get that almost $7, and then it winds down right before. What they need is a weekly options chain. If they had a weekly options chain, then the shorts could get hit with gamma any week rather than a monthly thing. So I don't know how you get a monthly options chain offering, but Monkey, do you know? She doesn't know. She raised eyebrows, but yeah, if they had a weekly options chain, they would have a gamma run for sure, because it would put thousands of shares or millions of shares in the money on a Friday, and then you have a gamma, which might push it to the next week, and then the monthlies might trigger as a result. But right now they don't. They just have that shares that come due once a month in the options chain, and it allows them to pump in the weeks prior and then shove it right back down again before the options come due. All right. I got one more. One more I can answer, and then I gotta get out of here. BB Brand, about the new DM policy on Twitter? Only verified users can send direct message requests to people that don't follow them. Yeah, that's silly. I mean, the idea is to cut down all those scammers who are like, "Hi, I'm a lonely lady in Hong Kong and I'm looking for friends." I go get so many of those. There's so many other ways to combat spam and bots that don't involve making it suck to use your website. I don't know why he doesn't use any of those tools. I mean, it's easy to report a bot. You go, oh, this person's reported as a bot, have someone investigate, delete the account. Cool. This person gets reported as a bot 1 million times a day. They're not a bot. We've confirmed that you can no longer report this account as a bot. Things like that. Like, if someone gets targeted, every decision that man makes on the website seems to be designed specifically to chase away all the users. And he wants to turn it into a banking app. Why didn't you just build a banking app from scratch? It cost you $1 billion, and you can make a hell of a banking app from scratch. Why do you spend $44 billion on something that isn't a banking app if you didn't want it for the users? The value of Twitter is not in Twitter being a short form social media platform. It's in the fact there was 1 billion people using it. And you've chased away 500 million of those people at least, right? They don't use it anymore. So why spend that much money and then destroy the user base if the user base is the only thing that gave the platform value? That's what blows my mind. And that Elon had enough cult followers that he could have made a banking app, drawn in hundreds of millions of users before people realized he sucked. Now they know he sucks, and they don't want the social media platform to also be some sort of weird, useless bank. I mean, who wants to like go to their bank and then be called a beta cuck by a skinhead while they're waiting in line to talk to the banker? That's what Twitter is going to become. And I don't understand the ultimate goal there. Yeah. Yeah, and Twitter had a name, but they threw that away for X. No one's going to bank with X. You're going to think that every transaction you make is some sort of porn handle. All right. I got going. Thank you, everybody. Tomorrow's Charity Tuesday. I'm going to set the show up here in a few minutes so that you've got a whole day to get ready for Charity Tuesday and spread the link to everyone. Seriously, spread it far and wide. Try to raise as much money for Maui relief as we can. You know, we raise our $2,000 every month, which I am super proud of, but that covers rent for 1 month for one of these families. Let's really step it up and see what we can do about trying to get as much funds to one of these Maui groups as we can to help so many thousands of families who are homeless right now as a result. And they're going to be facing the elements. And one of the things about being homeless in Hawaii, yeah, there's like fruit trees and stuff, but if you don't have access to a shower, you're going to get staph infections. You're going to have crazy tropical diseases start happening. It's muggy, and bacteria love to grow in that stuff. So let's try to help those folks as much as we can, right? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow for what will hopefully be a record-breaking Charity Tuesday for all the good reasons. And until then, take care of yourselves and each other. Alrighty, toodaloo. This one, blink. I didn't think of anything ahead of time to what we have. I've got, how about a Jimmy Carter paper rate? Does that work?